Hi, Christina. Thanks for being here.
Hi, so great to see you. So glad to be back.
We were just thinking about just a moment before I hit record, like, what do you do to collect yourself when time just gets away from you? And you're like, what day is it? What am I supposed to do? Oh, for today, it's Tuesday, but Monday was a holiday. And so we're like, wait, is it Monday?
Yeah. It's
Right.
Monday, Tuesday, it's Wednesday. And honestly, I don't know about you, but I feel this has also been a phenomena since we're on our 27th year of the pandemic. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
We've never,
I totally understand that. Somebody was asking me the other day, it was like, how long's it been? I heard someone say 2.5 years. And I was like, wait, what? It's been 2.5 years. And so I keep saying, yeah, speaking of time, and we all know that time isn't linear, but if you don't
right.
study quantum physics and follow Einsteinian theory, you're like, wait a minute, what do you mean? Sometimes time goes fast.
Yes,
Seems to. Sometimes time
right.
goes slow, but our
True.
clocks are just ticking, ticking, ticking,
Yeah.
ticking. And time as we know it on the planet is something that humans made up.
Yes, very much so. So in fact, yes, you're right. If you speak to quantum physicists or people or even people who are people of faith will tell you everything happens in God's time. And so time
Yes,
is actually a construct that we have created to give meaning to
exactly.
our days.
And I can think of two things that people told me recently. One was an artist, and he said, you're really doing something you love when you decide to stop for lunch and you realize it's 8 p.m.
Yes. Yes.
And another woman told me she has figured out how to stop time. She
Ooh.
can get into a zone where she gets all this work done and she looks at her watch and she swears it's a minute before she started.
Huh.
I said, teach me how to do that.
Yeah. I think it's some of those time stopping powers. I like it.
But we've all had that experience where time seems to go slow or time
Mhm.
seems to go fast.
Yes.
And how can we make that happen on purpose?
Well, the interesting denominator is both in what that woman was saying and what the guy was saying is they were doing something they enjoyed.
Yeah.
They were having purpose in their life, or they were doing something that felt meaningful to them, that was purposeful to them, and that was joyous to them.
Mm,
So I think the key, because that old expression, right? Time flies when you're having fun. And when you're not having fun, it drags on. Like, how many of us have been in a boring class or what we perceived as boring or boring meeting or talking to somebody who, oh my goodness, I'm sure there's somebody out there who will find what you're saying interesting, but right now it's not.
oh my God, that's so true. That's so true. That's so true. And in fact, that's one of the things I taught myself to do. I used to go to a lot of meetings.
Mhm.
For many years, I was a manager of a real estate office with 65 agents and 7 staff. And at least once a week, I went to manager meetings. And I learned how to kind of space out and doodle on the pages, looking like I'm making notes, but really I'm just drawing their faces and maybe their hands, making little shapes. And that kept me from just going completely wackadoodle while I was sitting there in a meeting listening to things I didn't really care about.
Exactly. Exactly.
And how many people have to do that in their jobs?
Oh, I think a lot. Definitely. I'm convinced sometimes when I'm in some Zoom meetings and you see a lot of cameras go off, I think they're checking out.
They are checking out 100%. Because haven't
Yeah.
you been on a Zoom meeting and you
Oh,
just want to
yeah.
check out too? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I tell you, that has been the one benefit, one of the many benefits to doing stuff virtually, because I do find I feel less forced on Zoom. Like if it's like I'm not really feeling it, I'm not really into it. I don't feel the same level of as I would in person, where
Right.
I'm sitting in this room and I'm like, I feel my mind wandering. It's going, it's going. You know, I mean, I remember being in school, and I will not say names, but this teacher, very, very smart man, but didn't know how to engage the students. So he would just be at the blackboard. There would be no engagement. And it reminds me, oh, we're doing our movie reference of the day. The Mirror Has Two Faces with Barbara Streisand
Oh, yeah.
and Jeff Bridges. And spoiler alert for those who have not seen it, excellent movie though. It is about a woman coming into her own after feeling like the ugly duckling her whole life. And what's really cool is she meets this professor played by Jeff Bridges. Now, she's a professor too, but she's very dynamic. She engages her class and they just love her. But he is like, he cannot get his class to get engaged. So she observes him to help him. And then she says to him, okay, your problem is you're having a math party up there and you're not inviting anyone. So I know I'm messing up the dialogue, but that's the whole point. So it goes back to the idea that we have to be engaged, right? We have to be interested. We have to have meaning. We have to find passion. We have to like something to be engaged in the moment. And if what we're doing is not engaging us, if the person we're with is not engaging us, we're checking out. And time is just now standing still because we're actually not moving. Because when you're not engaged, you're not moving forward in your life.
Right. Then there's also that illusion that if time is a linear reality, there's a future and there's a past and there's a moment we're in now. And most of us spend time thinking about the past or tripping out about the future, and we're not really enjoying being where we are right now. Even if it's a thing we're not enjoying doing, we could enjoy just being alive for the moment and breathing, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. Definitely enjoy being alive in the moment and breathing. You know, when I've read stories or heard stories about people who have gone through horrible illness or an unexpected tragedy, what strikes me in all their stories is their new appreciation for life. And I'm
Mm.
thinking, why does it have to take a tragedy or an illness to make you appreciate life? You're alive, you're breathing, you're here. Find
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes you appreciate it.
A friend of mine was dying of cancer,
Oh,
and his wife went home one day. She didn't see him in the house, and she's like, "Where is he?" Well, oh my gosh, something's wrong. And she hears his voice, and he's up on the roof, and he's like, "Life is so beautiful.
oh,
Come up here and look at it with me." And isn't that just amazing? If we're like tripping out about the future or worried about something we did in the past, if we just take a moment to know where we are right here. Yesterday, I tried to wrangle my thoughts were all askew, doing this and doing that, and thinking about the future. And blah, blah, blah. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I think I should just enjoy the moment right here. And so I realized I was standing in a beautiful garden and the
mm,
wind was blowing past me and it felt delightful. And I
lovely.
thought I should write this down. Like
Yeah.
real life is really beautiful right now, and I should remember this moment. So I think for some of us, maybe we're not in a moment that real life is beautiful. They're not standing in a garden with a beautiful wind blowing by. Maybe we're in a taxi or on a bus or arguing with our spouse, but we can
Mhm.
remember those moments we might have had at a moment and kind of breathe into that in our
Yeah.
imagination.
Yes, I agree. You're right. And how hard is that really to tap in like that?
Yeah, it just
Oh,
takes
I'm
a
sorry.
moment. Yeah, but you have to
And
remember
I'm
to do
sorry.
it.
I think I froze in a moment. So how hard is it, if you're having Zoom technology, to tap into a moment?
Well, how do you suggest it to your clients?
Well, I think I've said this before, and I'm going to probably be a little repetitive. I love the five senses approach
Mhm.
because when we're stuck in the past or we're caught up in a future that hasn't happened yet, you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. Only in the present you can do that. So, how you tap into your present moment, how many of your five senses can you tap into?
Oh, that's beautiful. Because at first I go, wait, I can feel it. I can taste it. I can smell it. I can hear it. I can see it.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm here
that
now.
that's how you tap in. So if you want to get present and you want to get out of your head from the past and stop obsessing over the future, tap into the good old five or as many of them as you can, because sometimes you don't always have an opportunity to eat some and taste it. But if as much as you can, have a full sensory experience, and
Hmm.
that will tap you into your present.
Oh, beautiful. That's so beautiful. Plus, that's one of the things I teach my coaching clients is if you want to go toward a goal or dream that's really big, but you don't quite believe it yet, you
Mhm.
have to five sensorize it. So
Ooh,
when you're living in the future and you're imagining your future life, how many senses can you put in that future life? What does it feel like to be in that world? What does it taste like, smell like, see like? What does
I love
see
that.
like, look like? Yeah. So we can do that to bring us to the moment now.
Huh?
We can add that to the things that we're visualizing that we would love to bring into our life in the future.
Yes. Yes. Sensorize. Ooh, I love that. Can I borrow that word? I love
Five
that.
sensorize. I got it from my mentor, Mary Morrissey. So go ahead and steal it.
I
It's
love it.
free.
Thank you, Mary Morrissey. I love it. Five
All ideas.
sensorize.
Don't you believe? And then I'll end our short chat with this. I believe that ideas are out there floating around in the universal mind
Mhm.
for anyone to catch. Haven't you
Woo.
had an idea of something that would be like a great invention or a great app or a great,
Yes.
great movie? And then
Yes.
a year later, you're like, oh, I had that idea and
Yes.
someone
Oh my
made
gosh.
it.
Exactly. And then you're like, oh my gosh, is it too late for me to put that idea out there? And I totally experienced that. And I
Mhm.
remember I was in a writer's workshop and we were talking about that idea because you can't copyright ideas, you can only copyright finished works.
Sure.
So I remember asking like the person who was running the workshop, what happens if my idea is similar to somebody else's? Could I like get in trouble for that? She's like, even if your idea is similar, even if you guys have basically the same plot, your take on it is what's going to be different.
True. So true.
So even if so
So
the
true.
floating out in the universe, waiting for us to grab, even if you were inspired by Mary Morrissey or inspired by somebody else, what you do with that inspiration will be uniquely you.
Exactly. Uh, I heard it this way in the 1980s. A good idea knows no owner.
Ooh, I like that. We're getting some great quotables here. We're gonna have to make a book of quotables.
Right on. Someone will have to speed watch all of our talks and then get some quotes out of it.
Exactly.
Okay, you only
And
have one movie for us today. Mirror has two
um,
faces.
what else? Oh my goodness, let me work on my movie brain. I
What
mean,
else is there that talks about time,
without time,
morphing
there's
time,
actually
stretching time?
every time travel movie you can think of, right?
No kidding. Oh my
And no
gosh.
matter what you do, you can't get away from the time. Like you keep trying to change it. Well, you look at Groundhog Day. Okay, I got one. Look at
Okay,
Groundhog
Groundhog Day.
right? With Bill Murray. He was
Yeah.
forced to live the same day over and over again, which was Groundhog Day. So he basically had the situation where he was reliving this day. And at first he fought it. Like he just, okay, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but great movie. You really should see it. And so at first he fought it and he was trying to get away from it. And then he's inspired by something a character says to him when he's like, what would you do like if you had all the time? And then he realizes he could do all those things that he never made the time to do. And he actually becomes a deeper person when he's not so worried about the passage of time.
Well, you're better than me at there's a show that I watched. And I can't pull up the name of it right now. I'll put it in the show notes, but it was about the and there were several seasons, and I can't remember what network I watched it on, but the
Can you give
the
us stuff
idea
to
is
work with?
this woman is walking down the street. She meets this random guy, and he gives her a card, and it just has his phone number on it, or maybe just his name. And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "I can help you." And he ends up being her therapist, but he has the ability to send her back in time.
Ooh, that sounds good.
So she comes in and she's like, my girlfriend, and she's like, okay, you want to do that over? Do over. And then she's like, whoop, she's like back in this thing she's complaining about. And she gets the chance to do it over, and she does it over in a different way. And that doesn't fix her life.
Nope.
The whole show is like, she just keeps going back for do-overs and do-overs and do-overs, and she does it in a different way, but still something turns into the same thing that it is now. And then, of course, I won't spoil the end of the season, but she
Wow.
becomes more enlightened about how life works. But wouldn't we all love to have that reality? We could just go back in time and change that one word we said, or that one cruel comment we said, or that one thing we
Oh,
did. And if
absolutely.
you really could go back and change it.
Go back and change it, especially if you really regret something you did. But here's the thing, as a movie buff, I've watched too many time travel movies, so I know how badly that goes. So I know it never works like you want it to. Things end up getting more messed up. So even though ideally, gee, I would have loved to take that back or not have that happen, I also know, based on my extensive years of movie watching, that if I actually could go back, it wouldn't get better, it would just get worse. So I've made peace with some of the past, and I've learned not to go back and regret.
Right. Okay. So the key to today's talk is this. If you want to stop time, if you want to have time go slower for you, love the moment you're in.
Yeah.
And try to sensorize the moment you're in, because whatever future tripping or past regret you're in will bring you back to right now. You're breathing something and you can smell it, or you're
Yes.
touching something, or you're even touching what you're sitting on and where your feet are on the ground. And
Yes.
then you're here right now.
Exactly. Exactly. Ground
As
yourself
Ron,
in it.
as Ram Dass said, be here now.
Yes, I love it. I love it. We've got quotes, we've got movies. So I have a little technical glitch before, but we got good stuff here for you guys.
It's all good. Thank you, Cristina, for another great chat, and I'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Thanks so much.
All right, bye.